Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for RPR Overview with a dash of AI magic. My name is Wendy Hutkins, and I am the training specialist here at PrimeMLS. All of our webinars are in a listen-only mode, and that means everybody is muted, but of course, you can still ask your questions. Just go ahead and find that little chat box, and my slides seem to be off this afternoon, but find that chat box in your Zoom menu and open that up. That way, if you have any questions, you can just type those questions in over the next 60 minutes. As questions come in, I'm the only one that sees those, so I do read those out loud so everybody in the webinar can benefit from those answers. You do not need to have your cameras on. I will be using the Zoom attendance list to track attendance, and everybody that's logged in to their own device without missing more than 5 minutes of this 60-minute webinar will earn that CE affidavit if you're licensed in New Hampshire and Vermont. The other states are not currently offering this CE credit as our Zoom format does not meet their requirements. So we're going to be talking all about RPR. And at the very end, I'm going to let you in on some AI magic that is available for you in RPR. And this is going to help you increase your social media presence very easily. So we'll be spending a few minutes on that. Now, of course, you're going to want to be able to access RPR, and you have multiple access points. Of course, you can access RPR on your PrimeMLS dashboard. You have that access point under additional links. Just look for that RPR tile. And if you're in Paragon Connect or Paragon Professional, you also have access, and that would be under resource links. So when you're in Paragon Connect, on your Paragon Connect homepage, you have those resource links and you can jump into RPR there as well. You are going to want to set up your RPR account, and in order to do that, you're going to need your NAR membership number and also your PrimeMLS user ID. So I'll be able to show you where you can find that information. And of course, you're going to be able to find that information also on your PrimeMLS help desk. So let's go ahead and give a brief overview about what we'll be going into today with RPR. We're going to give you an overview of all the information that is available to you in RPR, and it is extensive. We're primarily going to focus under the research button in RPR, and that means we're going to be talking about property searching, map searching, and also residential market trends. That's where that AI magic comes into play with RPR. Now, RPR is one of your many PrimeMLS member benefits and tools. And with this particular customer benefit, you're going to actually have access to nationwide MLS data. And that's because there are about 200 different MLSs out of the 500 MLSs coast to coast that are doing a data share with RPR. And that means that gives you, as an RPR user, access to coast property information. And not only does that include properties that are in those 200 MLSs, but it also includes off-market property data as well. You can use RPR to search both commercial and residential properties. And of course, there are tons of filters to help you refine your results. So let's get into it. We're going to exit our quick slide deck, and I always like to start on your PrimeMLS dashboard. This is where you're going to find that you have access to RPR, plus you also have access to all your other PrimeMLS customer benefits. Kate is just asking, she wants to make sure she's good. She doesn't have the ability to turn on her camera. And Kate, that is absolutely fine. Cameras are not required in your Prime MLS webinars. Because I can see your message, I know that you're logged in. So as long as you're logged in to the full 60-minute webinar, that is how you're going to earn that CE credit for all Vermont and New Hampshire licensees. So back to your Prime MLS dashboard, not only do you have access to both views of the Paragon MLS database, but you also have access to your Prime MLS customer benefits and tools. And of course, RPR is one of those. And RPR is specific for our customers who are also members of a local board. When you're a member of a local board, that gets you access to your state Realtor Association and then ultimately the National Association of Realtors. So if you're a Prime MLS customer and you are not a member of NAR, then you are not going to be able to take advantage of accessing RPR and gaining that information that is available for our Realtor members. Also here on your Prime MLS dashboard, you have access to your Prime MLS help desk. And your help desk is going to be very helpful with providing information not only on using RPR, but also your other Prime MLS customer benefits and tools. So when you click on that bright yellow access button, that is going to take you to your Prime MLS help desk. If you want to start reviewing all the benefits and tools you have available to you as a Prime MLS subscriber, you can go into that Prime MLS benefits and tools section, open that up, and under list of benefits and tools, indeed, you will find a list. And this is a great way just to get an overview of all those many benefits and tools that come with your Prime MLS subscription. So make sure you're coming here and taking advantage of all the options that are available to you. I'm going to use my little up arrow to get back to the top of this page, and then I'm going to click on home so we go back to all the information that's available to you here on your Prime MLS help desk. You can also scroll down and under recorded webinars, this is where you're going to find a previously recorded session of RPR Overview with a dash of AI magic. You're going to find that under your customer benefits, additional recorded webinars. So when you click on that, you will want to come here to review any of the information that we cover in this hour-long webinar. Now, of course, if you're ever on your Prime MLS help desk and you find that you need some additional assistance, you can reach out to Prime MLS staff a couple of different ways. You'll notice in the bottom right corner, you have that live chat option. So when you click on that, you can click on the group who's best able to answer your question. And if you're ever unsure, just choose technical support because we'll always make sure the right person at Prime MLS is assisting you. After you choose that group, give us a couple of minutes and then we'll be chatting with you over that option. Now, of course, you can chat with us during business hours, but you can also create a chat after business hours. We'll just turn that into a ticket, and a ticket is an email communication, and then we'll get back to you via email once the office is open. You also have the ability to send us a ticket here on your Prime MLS help desk. So if we go back to that home page, you'll see that create a ticket is going to be that option for you. When you open create a ticket, you'll notice your email address that's on your Prime MLS dashboard has already populated. Once again, you're going to choose that group. And if you're ever unsure, or if you're reaching out to us on a weekend, always choose technical support, because even when the office is closed for weekends and holidays, we still have a Prime MLS staff member watching support at primemls.com. That is that technical support email address on the weekends and holidays, so we can continue to provide you excellent service even when the office is closed for a weekend or a holiday. Once you choose that group, just go ahead, type out your subject, type out your question, attach a file if that will help us understand what's going on. And as soon as you hit submit, you are going to immediately get a response, and that's just letting you know your ticket has been submitted. We definitely try to reply quickly, but we can't be instantaneous. So that's just a notification that there's been no technical difficulties getting that ticket over to us. Give us a little bit of time and we will respond as soon as possible with the answer to your question. Now, if you've reached out to us via a ticket and you wanted to review that information that we shared with you, that answer to your question, you can also do that here on your PrimeMLS Help Desk. And you're going to be able to go into those past communications with PrimeMLS staff under your tickets. This is also where you will be able to find those affidavits that I will be sending out for everybody who's been in the full 60-minute webinar without missing more than 5 minutes. I always try to get those affidavits emailed out as soon as possible, but they will definitely be in your inbox no later than Friday at 5 p.m. Now, if you're in the process of renewing your license and you do need me to put a rush on that affidavit for you, after the webinar concludes, just reach out to me, which you can do right here on your PrimeMLS Help Desk. Send that ticket to training and I can put a rush on that affidavit email for you. So not only is this a great section where you can review any of those previous conversations you've had via email with PrimeMLS staff, just make sure you come up to the open and pending and you change that drop down to all tickets. That's going to show that history. And of course, you'll also see those affidavits that I email out to you as well. So many of you won't need that affidavit maybe for another month or even another year. You can certainly keep track in your emails outside of PrimeMLS, but know you've kind of got that backup copy here available for you under your tickets on your PrimeMLS Help Desk. Now with that, let's go ahead and exit out of our help desk and jump into our topic today, which is RPR. So I'm going to go back to my PrimeMLS dashboard and I'm going to use that access point right here under my additional links. So when I click on RPR, that's going to open up RPR in a new browser tab for me. And the first thing we're going to do is give that much needed overview of RPR. Here on your homepage, you have a ton of information. Not only do you have your top navigation buttons, which we will be going into, but you also have 6 different sections on your RPR homepage. So we'll count this first one with all your main navigation options at the top as option number 1 here on your on your RPR homepage. As we move down the homepage, that second section here is where you can start searching for properties. You're able to toggle on either residential or commercial properties. I'm going to leave mine set to residential. You can start typing in location, and then under status and type, this is where you're going to decide, are you looking for properties that are for sale, for lease, or both? Or are you looking for public record information? Under property type, you're going to be able to select all or narrow down the property types you want to see. Now remember, RPR is a nationwide search engine, so you may see some options here that we don't have in that Paragon MLS software. As you continue to move across the section here, of course, you can narrow down your results by price, by number of bedrooms, by number of bathrooms, and then you have even more filter options. Let's go ahead and just select all there when you click under that more filter options. Deborah is asking a great question. Why would she want to use RPR versus Paragon? Well, it's just another option for you. You may find that you like the way the information looks in RPR over how you can view information in Paragon. I'm also going to show you some things here in RPR that you cannot do in Paragon. So the searching, of course, you can do that in Paragon, but we're going to go into that AI magic. We're also going to do some map-based searching. I'm going to show you how you can easily pull up some public record information and get addresses if you want to do a mailer here in RPR. That's not something that you can do in Paragon. And there's also something folks always ask for in Paragon. They want to be able to do a time search. So say we're looking at the Manchester-Boston airport and you've got a client that wants to be within 40 minutes of that location. You can do that time search or distance search here on the map in RPR. So I'm going to show you that as well. But basically, it boils down to just having more options in your arsenal. As we continue with more filters, I'm just going to scroll down this section because you're not going to want to sleep on the information that's available for you here. If you wanted to do some prospecting and maybe you want to look for foreclosure information, or you have a client that's particularly looking for a good deal, this current distress status is going to help you find those deals in the system. You can also search for open houses here. I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. You've got some nice keyword searches. So if you are looking for waterfront in RPR, that is an option for you. And then notice these miscellaneous fields. I always like to use this for prospecting because you can look for owner occupied or absentee owner information. Once again, you can do a targeted mailing to those folks to try to increase your listing inventory. And then we all know that the longer somebody has owned a property, more likely the more equity they have in that property. So you can even start narrowing down to really try to reach out to those owners who might be ripe and ready to list their properties. So you've got some great options here in RPR to help you do that. And then remember, I'm going to show you on your map how you can get those addresses and print out those labels in RPR to do that direct mailing piece. But certainly being able to filter what you're looking for with the additional features under miscellaneous fields, I think that is a huge plus here in RPR. I'm going to go back to my home page now, and we're going to continue working our way down the list here. So let me get it to refresh. Let's go ahead and just hit refresh up there. There we go. And now we can continue moving down to section number 3. And this would be your guided tours. I will say RPR has a great educational piece in it. So we're only going to cover the very tip of the iceberg on the many things you can do in RPR. So I think these guided tours are really helpful. If you wanted to get more details on how you can do that prospecting, this guided tour section is literally going to walk you through the steps you need to take. And you can see you have that option for market trends, but we're going to go into that today for you. Map-based search. You may find that you like how the CMA option looks here in RPR, and this may become your new default when you're putting together those market analysis for your potential sellers. RPR also has a number of very customizable reports, and we'll talk more about that when we go into the report section, but that gives you a lot of different information that you can share with clients out of RPR. And then, of course, they have RPR Mobile, so you can download this as an app, and you can use RPR on your phone as well. The next section we're going to talk about is your market and your map. And you can set your market areas up in the section for your settings in your top right corner. So I'll show you how you can start to create those markets so that you can easily come in and jump to whatever section you want to see on the map. So you can see I've included some places like Bedford and Hooksett, but I've also created East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, and that is me taking advantage of RPR being a coast to coast search engine for me. So I have a friend that lives down in Pennsylvania in East Stroudsburg, and I kind of keep an eye on that area for her in case I think it's time for her to list her property and make that move she's been thinking about. So it's nice that I have that option. This can also be super helpful for you as you're helping your seller clients if they're moving out of the area and you want to be able to give them some information on the next market that they're going to. RPR can help you do that. And you could also potentially find another agent where you could make that referral. So lots of use cases for information that you're going to find here in RPR. And then, of course, you have that map, and you're going to be able to do some searching using the map, including that distance search or time search. And I'll be showing you that in a few minutes. As we continue working our way down the page, this next section is where you're going to see the information that RPR is able to pull in from Paragon, and that's going to be your active listings. So you won't be able to come in and maintain or make any changes in them, but you are going to see that running list, and that's under My Listings. Of course, I don't have any active listings, so that's why my section is blank. You're going to also be able to save your searches, go to recent searches, go into reports, and see any notes that you've added on properties under that My Properties section. And then you'll be able to go in to those saved searches under searches. And if you forgot to save a search, if it's one of your recent searches, you'll be able to toggle between those two options. And this is a nice way to recover that information. Like I said, if you forgot to save it. And so you'd be able to jump right into that map information from the last time I was looking at the Georgetown, Mass area. And then finally, as we get down to the very bottom of your homepage, this is where you can get additional help from the folks over at RPR. I will tell you, I've used that phone number when I've had questions, when I've been navigating through the system, and they are indeed very helpful. If you want to connect with other agents who are using RPR on their socials, you can certainly jump into that from here. And then they have that whole training library, and it is set up so you can watch previously recorded webinars that they provide. You can sign up to attend webinars. They also have a number of documents that if you like to look at something more like written instructions, they have that information for you as well. So they have a very full training library, and you can get additional help with accessing all the details that are available for you in RPR from there. We're going to scroll back up to the top of the page now, and we're going to start working our way through our options at the top. So we've already done that homepage overview, and I said we're primarily going to be focusing on the research tab, but we're only going to be focusing on these top 3 things. So as you can see, there is more information even in this section that you can start to explore. I'm a big fan that at the bottom of each section, they have a quick video kind of walking you through what all these options will do for you. And once again, this is why I feel like the training options here in RPR are really top notch. So if you're unsure of what all these options can do, take a few minutes, watch that video, and that's going to clear things up for you. As we move into the marketing section, you'll see that you have the ability to prospect for residential and commercial. And once again, you're getting that quick video giving you some tips and tricks on how you can do some marketing here in RPR. Now, I mentioned that RPR has a ton of different reports, and they do. One of the coolest thing about all of these reports is they're highly customizable. So RPR does a whole 1 hour webinar just touching on the reports and how you can customize them. So that is something you can definitely sign up and attend through their training calendar. And speaking of training calendar, that makes a very nice segue to that help section. Once again, this is just reiterating the information at the bottom of your homepage. So you've got that phone number. You can jump into their training section. And if you want to send them an email, you certainly can do that as well. But don't hesitate to pick up the phone and give the folks over at RPR a call if you need some help navigating the system. You'll notice they even have weekend hours as well. Continuing on that ability to get some access to some quick videos that talks about the different things you can do in RPR, you're going to find that available for you under Learn. And if you're somebody that likes to play around with Canva and really create some cool shareable visuals, RPR is integrated with Canva as well. And then finally, when you get to My Work, that is where you're going to be able to recover your saved searches, reports that you've customized, any notes you've added to property. They're all available for you here as well. And once again, you have that very helpful My Work overview video, just a couple of minutes long, and it's going to provide you a ton of information. Now, one of the very first things you want to do once you've set up that access into RPR is come up to the top right corner, and you want to go into your profile and settings and get all this information customized to you. So when you go into your profile, this is where you can add your photo. Either you'll have the PrimeMLS logo, or if the broker of your office has integrated their office logo into RPR, you will see that. You're going to be able to add all your contact information, and you want to make sure this is all accurate, because as you're sharing information out of RPR, you want it to be branded with your information. So just take a moment and come through here, fill out all that profile information, and specifically make sure the information in the MLS section is correct. So you'll want to put in the PrimeMLS, and you'll need your agent ID here. That is how RPR is able to pull in your listings so you can keep track of those when you're in RPR on that home page. And I'll be showing you how you can find that information. Easiest place to do that is in Paragon Professional. And if you don't know your NAR number to set up access into RPR, I'll show you where you can find that information right from your PrimeMLS dashboard. As I continue to scroll down, there's also a section for your license. And if you also have some admins that you want to give access to your RPR account, so think assume identity like you have for Paragon, you also have that ability here in RPR. And I believe you can set up to three different assistants with access to your RPR account. And I think once you see all the great information RPR can do for you, if you have an unlicensed assistant, definitely give them that information because it's going to be very helpful. Once you go through this section, you're also going to want to go into the settings section. And this is where you can set some settings specific to how you want to see information when you're viewing information here in RPR. So they show new listings. There's a little tag, and you'll see that when we're exploring listings on the map. You get to decide what you consider to be a new listing. I've got mine set at 3 days. Maybe you consider a listing that's new up to 7 days. So you could always change that toggle, and it can be anywhere up to 30 days. And you can make those settings for new listings, for closed listings, and that would be for both residential and commercial properties. I'm going to set that back down here. I like that 3 days. And then you're just going to make sure you save any changes here. And then this is where you can start setting up your markets. That's that information we saw to the left of the map on our RPR homepage. So I just came in here and I set up those towns that I typically like to go to on my map. You can also make that addition on your homepage, but that's going to bring you in here so you can add that information. With that, are there any questions on that overview? So anything that we've just started to cover on your RPR homepage or any of your tabs at the top? If you have any questions, of course, you can type those right into the chat box and we'll get those answered. If not, let's start going into some searching that you can do here in RPR. And in order to do that, I'm going to take advantage of my research option here, and we're going to go right into property search. And really, that is just giving us that access to those filters that we have on our RPR homepage. So I'm going to use Concord, New Hampshire as a location. That's where PrimeMLS is. So I could start typing. And as I find what I'm looking for, let's finish that out, Concord. Sometimes I can't talk and type at the same time. Once we start to get that information in, notice you're starting to get some information on the drop down, and you can come in and just select what you're looking for. So I'm indeed looking for Concord, New Hampshire, not a Concord that's in any of those other New England states. So I'm going to make that selection. And of course, right now we haven't narrowed anything down, but that's what we're going to start doing under type and status and all of our other filter options. So I don't want to be in public records for this search. I'm specifically looking for sale properties, and I'm specifically looking for active properties that are for sale. So I've made that selection. Now I'm going to move on to property type, and I'm going to narrow it down to just single family properties. I'm going to continue working my way across my filter options, and we'll go ahead and put in a filter between 300 and 600,000 just to make sure we can get some results. It's a tough market out there. For bedrooms, we're going to leave those open. Bathrooms, we're going to leave those open as well. I'm not going to dive into any of my additional filters for now. I'm just doing a very basic search for a particular city in a price range. So now to see those results, I can click on the search. And first, I'm seeing those properties on the map. And I can see that I have 13 properties that meet these filter requirements. I could click on any of my little dots on the map, and that's going to bring up a little overview of the property. And then I could go into those full details right from here. I also have the ability to continue on this kind of shaded bar and look at these 13 properties in a list view. That's going to be that more traditional option. And then, of course, if I click on that photo, that's going to take me into that full view of this property. And we don't even have time to go over all the information you're going to be able to see on your RPR property report, but let's once again give you just a little bit of overview. So you're going to see that list price. You're also going to see some automated value information. And if you want to know how RPR is coming to this information, you can view details. Deborah's asking, what you just shared is not specific to a client, correct? Absolutely, Deborah. Remember, RPR is a tool for realtors. You can create those reports and you can share those, but really this tool is just built for your use as a realtor member of National Association of Realtors. So as I continue to scroll down, you're going to see that general information. You're going to be able to scroll through photos. You've got a number of different sections you can jump into under pricing tools, and you've got that little arrow to see all those options. As you continue to scroll down, you're going to start seeing the information the listing agent added on this property. So you've got their description, you've got a map, you've got some additional resources that you could jump into. And under property facts, you're not only getting the information that the listing agent added, but you're also getting public record information that RPR is easily making available for you right here on this property report. I love this integration because it's kind of nice to be able to see how much the information the listing agent put in, how much it matches that public record information. So as we continue to scroll down, of course, you have listing agent information and listing details. This lets you know it's being pulled right from PrimeMLS, and it gives you that MLS number. Let's see what we have down at the bottom. I mentioned notes on your RPR homepage. This is where you can add those notes. And of course, if you're taking advantage of this, not changing what any other realtors see about this property. This is information specific to you. So maybe if you pull up a property and you're doing a CMA on it, you've talked to the potential seller and they've let you know they've made some updates. You can make those notes here for you, and that will keep it kind of top of mind while you look for those other good comps here in RPR. And then, of course, you're going to see interior features, exterior features, legal description. This is always helpful if you want to pull that deed. And hey, by the way, if you're not taking advantage of real reports, that's another PrimeMLS customer benefit and tool. I do believe they are now giving you the ability to print out deeds. There is a small cost for that, but that's something people have asked for a lot. And I believe that is now available in RPR, not RPR, real reports, too many initials here. You'll want to start looking for that. If it's not available right now, it is definitely coming. So just another way you can take advantage of all those subscriber benefits and tools available to you as a PrimeMLS customer. You're going to start getting some school information, and I will say RPR has some wonderful school reports that you can look into. You're getting some owner information, listing history, and then once again, some public record information regarding deed, and then you can also toggle to tax information. So just a ton of information here. We can go right back up to the top of this page and notice right now, we've just looked at one section, and that's property information. You can also toggle over to the map location. You can jump into market trends. You can look at those values, do a CMA, get more information about the neighborhood, and then keep track of your notes under My Updates. So this is great information. And this is just one property report that's available for you in RPR. Now I could continue to toggle through all 13 properties by looking at that next. I also can go back to my search results. That's those 13 properties. And I'm looking at them here in that grid view. I could also go to a more square view that gives me that larger photo and some general information. I can click on that main photo, and then it's going to take me right into that property report. So I can go back to search results once again, and now I have all 13 properties on my little kind of more photo-centric overview. And then I can also jump right into that map view. If I was looking at public record information and I wanted to jump into creating mailing labels, I could do that from these views. I can also print and create reports from all of my different views. So great information here in RPR. And now that we've done kind of a basic search, let's go into that map option and talk about some of your search options there. Now, of course, I can get back to my map option under research. I can also just go back to that home button, and I've got that last area that I was looking at down in Mass here on my map. But remember, I can also jump into any of those markets that I've created. So if once again I wanted to go back into Concord, I can just click on that, and now my map updates for me. If I want to start doing some more searching in the map, I can go up to map search. And now I would want to remove that boundary. So instead of just looking at the Concord area, I could remove that, and I'm going to start getting other matches. I can also continue to narrow down what I'm seeing based on the information I put up here. So maybe once again, we just want to narrow down to properties that are for sale and that are active. So I'll unselect those. We'll move over to our property type, and maybe this time we're looking for condos. So we'll leave that selected. Let's see, for price, let's do between 200. We'll just go ahead and select that. And once again, we'll do a wide range up to 600. And we'll leave bedrooms and bathrooms open. We'll hit that search. And now we have seen our results update here on our map. So once again, that's how you can do some basic searching. Let me go into a few of the bells and whistles here on your map. Of course, you can draw on your map here in RPR. You are limited to just one shape at a time. So if you want to search multiple cities or zip codes, you're going to find those options under that show geographies option. So if I click on that, I might want to search by a couple of different zip codes. So now I can go ahead, let's zoom out a little bit. And notice how my map now has those boundaries. This allows me to choose a couple of different zip codes. Now I've got 3. So if I want to search these 3 areas for those condos, I can look at those results, and I'm going to be able to see that for these properties. I'm going to go ahead, once again, remove those boundaries and kind of zoom in just a little bit. And we're going to talk about some more options with your map. Let's just make that a little bit smaller. And we're going to go over to our right side options here. And this is where you can do that drive time search. So if you click on drive time, notice you have some options. You can do that drive time or travel time. You can also just do a distance search. So I like that travel time, and it's going to create this distance from wherever I move this pin. So I kind of like to use that example of the Manchester Boston Airport. So we're going to toggle that on, Manchester Boston Airport. And if I hit next, it should take me right down there. And indeed it did. And that's okay. We didn't find any properties because we're not really ready to do that search yet. I am going to zoom out a little bit. So once again, we can kind of see that area, and you can see I've landed right on the airport. We're traveling by car, but you've got some options. Hopefully nobody's going to have to walk. We're going to do that 8 a.m. But if you have somebody that leaves earlier, of course, that changes those traffic counts. So we'll leave ours set at 8 a.m. We'll leave it set for Monday, and we're going to give them a little bit wider range than a 10-minute drive to the airport. So we're going to jump this out to, they want to be within 30 minutes of the airport. So once I've got my parameters in, I can click next. It's going to take a minute to update. It starts to put that area in, and now it's looking to find those results. So I think it should still be set with our condos with that price range. So it is working on finding that information. Let's go ahead. Still thinking. it should. There we go. Now it's finding the properties that are in that orange area. I did have to prompt the system just a little bit because you might have noticed it had some properties outside of that orange area. And we want only those properties that are going to be a 40-minute drive time to that location that we set, which was the Manchester Boston airport. So right now, because we have such a wide price range, we do have 91 properties. So I might want to go in and narrow that down. And then remember, I have all those abilities to look at those properties different ways. And then, of course, I could always create a report on these properties that I could share with a potential buyer, showing them the options that they would have with that requirement of being, within that time frame of the airport. Another thing you can do here on the map is create those mailing labels. I'm going to show how you can collect off-market property information, get those mailing labels on a specific area, and then that's going to help you with any of your mailings you want to do. So we're going to remove that boundary and we're going to kind of start fresh. We're going to go back up into the Concord area, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more so that we can collect some mailing addresses for an area I want to market to. So maybe I have a client and they really want to be in this little area between Clinton and South Street. And currently there's only one property that's available in that area, and it's not the right property for them. So I'm going to do a mailing and try to see if I can generate a listing that would work for them. So the first thing I'm going to do is use my draw option. I like to do freehand, and I'm going to kind of just go with that triangle area here. Once I do that, I am going to be able to search area. And now this is where I'm going to go up, and I'm going to tell the system, I'm not looking for properties that are for sale. I am looking for that public record information. And for this client, I'm not looking for condos. I'm actually looking for single family listings. And we don't need to have any price range. So we'll just exit out of that. We'll go ahead and hit search. And we should start getting some information. All those squares are addresses the system has collected for us. So with that, I can now easily go up to mailing labels. And now I'm getting 373 mailing addresses that I can do a mailer for in that defined area that are all single family listings. And of course, you have many options here on how you want to create those labels. And in RPR, you can do up to 200 mailing labels or exports, meaning you want to just get the information out of RPR. It's going to put it in a spreadsheet view, and then you're going to work on that outside of the system. So you have up to 2,000 mailing labels and exports that you can create every month using RPR. Another great benefit. Lauren is asking, with Boston, can you plug in commuter rail time? It looks like they don't have that option, Lauren, but that would be a great suggestion. You can always send that over to the folks at RPR. I think they're always looking for new ways to update the system. So I would recommend you make that as a recommendation or a request for a system update. I think that's a great idea. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And now the moment you've been waiting for, we have 13 minutes to talk about how RPR can help you create a meaningful social media presence. We all know how important it is to be top of mind. And the more active you are on those socials, the more people are going to feel like, gosh, I've seen that realtor everywhere. I should be working with them. That's always your goal. So RPR can really make this easy for you. The stumbling block for having information, for people being on social media and sharing meaningful content, what I hear constantly is, I just don't know what to share. I only have one listing. So how many different ways can I talk about, my one listing? Tammy, you're asking about CMA and RPR. That is a whole 60-minute class. They do have a webinar on that, and you can also use that CMA walkthrough to get that information, but that is not something we cover in this particular class. So RPR is going to help you get that meaningful content. And in order to start pulling that out of RPR, I want to direct you back to research. And this time you're going to go into residential marketing trends. Now, notice you have options here with the area you want to search. And all of this is ultimately going to provide different information that can be shared on the socials. So you could start large overview with maybe a county. So we'll stay here in Merrimack County. As I start to type that in, I'm going to see some options, and we're not looking for the town of Merrimack. I'm actually looking for Merrimack County. So once I start putting that in, now I see county is one of my options, and I'm going to select that. As soon as I make that selection, I start getting a lot of great information about what's happening countywide. Notice in property type, they are combining single family and condo. Now we know those are two very different markets. So I want to break those out because I think that gives us better information, more accurate information. Plus, it gives you more information to share. You can share an overview of Merrimack County for single family homes, and then you can share an overview of what's happening for the condo market. So go ahead and break those out because once again, better information and more information to share. So we'll stick with the single family market. And I actually want to do this throughout the page. So I'm going to say apply to all charts. Now notice anywhere that you have that share option, that allows you to easily share this information that you have just quickly pulled up. And you can share this throughout your social media options. As we continue to scroll down beyond that overview, you're going to start getting some more specific information like median estimated property values. And you can click on that little I. That's always going to tell you how RPR came to this information. And it's always in a month time frame, and it's going to be the previous month so they can collect all the information. Oh, excuse me. And once again, this is all shareable information. You're also going to see new listings. So now remember, I've got my new listings set to within 3 days. If you set your new listings to 7 days, that's going to change. You've got active listings. You've got new pendings, pending listings. So much great information broken down in easily understandable charts. Notice you can also get an overview for the past 3 years. Clicking on that is going to update this information. So much shareable information here. Month supply of inventory, as you can see, very low still. So we're still in that seller's market. And then you've got some public records sold information being pulled in here as well. So each and every one of these sections is shareable. You can also start getting some help with having something to say on social media. So if we come back up to the top and we look at that create script, this is where that AI magic comes in. Not only can you share these graphs and charts, but you can go into that script. You can start deciding your tone that you want to create some of these options in, like your client emails or video scripts or your PowerPoint presentation. So you can choose the tone and you can also choose the audience. Once again, that means you are getting multiple options. So not only could you do the residential market overview for Merrimack County for buyers, but then you could also turn around and do it for sellers, and then you can have a specific message for first-time home buyers. So let's look at some of the options you have. You could create an article. That means it's going to put together kind of the words to explain what those graphs mean. A lot of people struggle with that. No need to struggle with that in RPR. It's going to do the work for you. So if you wanted to share some information, maybe have that graph and then know what to say about it, you can use that market trends article. And this is where that tone really comes into play. You also have this ability to create a social media card. You can just pull some information as I scroll down. We're going to create that social media card. This is pulling from my profile information. So I've got my photo. I can select a background. There's kind of one I like up here that has like a little welcome mat. Ooh, but maybe I want to use that tree one today. So we'll click that one. And then I'm going to be able to see I have now created a really nice visual that I can share. And if I wanted to add that caption, I can just click on that. Now AI is generating those words that go with the graph that I have above. And I have a couple of different options. So I have those 4 more options that I could click here. And then I could just copy and paste and go ahead and share this to social media. And that alone is pretty cool. Remember, we're just getting that overview for the county. Now we could go in and we could get some more information specific to cities within that county. But there's also more options here. So let me exit out of there, go back into create a script, because I also want to show you this social video. Once again, RPR is doing all the work for you. All you've got to do is come in here and you're doing the market snapshot. That's for the overview of Merrimack County. We're going to leave that selected. I'm going to do that vertical because I'm sharing this on social media. I'm going to leave my color palette, no changed. I want some upbeat music, so we're going to make that selection. And now we're going to create that market snapshot video. While that is pulling up, I'm going to go back to your PrimeMLS dashboard, and this is a perfect time for me to show you that under resources, if you need your NAR member number, you can come in and you can look that information up here. And if you're looking for that agent ID that you also need for your RPR account, that is something you can do in Paragon Professional. The easiest ways to go into Paragon Professional, go up to your roster option, click on agent roster, and then under agent name, just pop your name in there. So we'll do mine for an example. And once I hit enter, we're going to see there's one match. And when I hit search, this is going to give me that information I need. There is that user ID. Sometimes, not for RPR, but you sometimes need the office code. That's also here. And depending on which PrimeMLS customer benefit and tool you're taking advantage of, sometimes you need that user ID. Other times you need that user code. That's why I like to come in here and get the information under the roster, because it gives me all 3 of those things. So when I'm taking advantage of those benefits and tools that are part of my PrimeMLS subscription, I've got all the information I need right here. Now I should be able to jump back into RPR and that video should be done. And it is. Let's watch. Doesn't get much easier than that, does it? We'll click back into RPR, and remember that's just the tip of the iceberg because you've done that overview for the county, specifically for single family. You can go back in, share information based on condos, but you can also start narrowing information down as well. So instead of having the whole county, I could share information on Concord. So once again, we'll start typing. I'm going to see some different state options. I'm going to stay in New Hampshire. And now I'm getting more specific information for the city of Concord. But wait, there's more. Because there are multiple zip codes in Concord, I could even dial it down to a more granular level. Instead of putting in Concord, New Hampshire, I could put in the zip code. One of those is 03301. And now I'm getting information on that specific area in Concord. There's also 03302, but when I ran that earlier, there wasn't enough information to give me statistics on that. But you can see if you type that in, it will just let you know that. So I could go into that third option, which is 03303. And now I'm getting information on a different area in Concord. So all this information is shareable. You can create those scripts, you can create those videos. And as you get more comfortable, you can also use this to create scripts so you can start putting yourself out there on social media. A lot of times people are like, I know I need to be in front of the camera, not just sharing information, but it's okay. You can build up to that if you're not comfortable. So go to that video script, and the system is going to put those words out there that you can say. And if you're not comfortable with all the information it creates, just take a few lines and start that way. RPR really is going to help you take your social media game to the next level because you want to be that agent where buyers and sellers are saying, gosh, I see that agent everywhere. I should be working with them. So use RPR to help you do that. We are right at time. If there are any additional questions, I'm happy to answer those. Otherwise, thank you so much for giving me an hour of your time today. I hope this has increased your excitement to jump in and play around with RPR. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you in future training events. Remember, for everybody who is a New Hampshire or Vermont licensee, as long as you've been in the full 60-minute webinar without missing more than 5 minutes, I'll be getting those affidavits out to you as soon as possible, but no later than Friday at 5 p.m.